Hey, deserving listeners, The Ultimatum, Queer Love. Let's watch.
But how do you know that her and Ray would not be able to figure out something together that could make our partners want to be with us? Like, we're the ones that gave the ultimatum. And like, I'm not trying to
No,
by any means.
I'll interject on that. So I don't know what you want out of this, which is fine.
Oh, that's interesting that Xander said that, and that does make sense, and I hadn't considered that. That Xander is saying, well, yeah, Vanessa isn't on this show to meet someone else and potentially marry them, but who's to say it doesn't help them to clarify whether or not they want to be with us? And yeah, that's a good point.
They don't trust Vanessa. Ray knows that. It's not just a jealousy thing. They don't think she's here for the right reasons. I love the hell out of Ray. When I think about her sleeping in bed with someone who really is only here because she wants to be famous, my gut check is to protect her. But I can't really say, Ray, don't choose Vanessa.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was part of it. Lexi had previously said that she's an overfunctioner. I don't know if she would identify as that, but she used words to describe that, right? Where she's the one taking care of other people, she's the one that is pursuing, and it's never been the opposite, or there's never been a balance of both taking care of each other. And one of the premises that supports codependency and overfunctioning, patterned overfunctioning, is this notion that you're responsible. You are absolutely responsible for fixing other people's problems. And if you don't do it, there's sort of an unnamed anxiety that codependent people will experience. Sometimes they'll put words to it, like, well, I just know that Ray is naive, or I just know that Vanessa is dangerous. But what's really happening for them on the inside is they feel like that's their only worth in life, or it's the only way they can get people to stay close to them. They will lose people if they don't solve other people's problems. They need to find someone that needs to be helped, because if the person is independent enough to fix their own problems or even fix your problems, then they don't need you and will leave you. And so there's various different anxieties that will happen for codependent people. So maybe that assumption is kicking in of like, Ray is incompetent and needs me to take care of her, because that's always the case, and that's my role, and it's the only way I keep people close, and that's what's happening. And so hearing about Vanessa and the vibe I get from her and the associations I have with her, I have to go after Vanessa because I can't trust Ray to protect herself.
I'm choosing Vanessa.
Okay. So we have our next couple, and this will be interesting. We know that Vanessa isn't in it to win it with Ray, but is willing to hang out with Ray, essentially, for whatever reasons we might imagine Vanessa has. Ray has stated that she feels a connection with Vanessa. So what does all this mean? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I choose Mal.
Yeah, I could actually see Lexi and Mal working out, given the way they talk, but it does raise a question as to whether or not Lexi is actually an overfunctioner and possibly codependent, because Mal doesn't come across as someone that needs someone to overfunction for them. Mal doesn't come across like an underfunctioner. I'm not saying Ray is an underfunctioner, but it's possible that Ray emotionally will be so subdued that she needs people to take care of her in that way. I don't know. It's just impossible for me to know. But so one of the things that overfunctioners will experience and codependent people will experience is they will experience a lot of underfunctioners, and then when they start dating again, or they have the opportunity to shop around, they know they are not looking for an underfunctioner. They consciously are like, no, I want someone who is independent, who can take care of me, who doesn't need me to take care of them. But they will, one, either sniff out the underfunctioning in the other person that is substantial enough such that the codependent person could even make it worse subconsciously, which will happen sometimes. Like if someone has the potential to become addicted to marijuana, then the overfunctioner subconsciously will, groom the other person into smoking a lot more marijuana or needing to smoke marijuana more, and thus then they descend into addiction, and then the overfunctioner is in a good place, a place that they want to be. So that's one thing that'll happen. The other thing that'll happen is the relationship won't take off because the codependent person, although on paper is thinking, I think you're a good partner for me, but you know what, I'm just not feeling it. There's no spark. We don't have chemistry, will be the thought. And what's really happening is that the other person doesn't allow them to enact their codependency. So who knows? But look at my Mal notes here. Let's see. She was the one that was getting the ultimatum from Yoli, and she was clear to Yoli. She's saying, "Look, I'm not saying I don't want to ever marry you. I'm just saying I don't want to do it now." And that it's different, right? Because Vanessa is saying to Xander, "I don't know. Not only do I not want to marry you, but I don't want to marry anyone." So there's different versions of the other person with the ultimatum. And Mal was saying that she wants to wait until she's more established money-wise. And she also was worried that Yoli was only interested in Mal because Yoli just wanted to be with somebody. And Mal would say things like, I don't know if you are in love with me. I don't know if you want to be with me, given your history with other people. Mal also said something along the lines of that, I didn't know if this is exactly what Mal was saying, but that she has a history with being displaced by white women or white people. And that with Yoli, because Yoli is interested in someone else, right? Who's Yoli? Oh, Yoli's with Xander. We've already seen that. And so they had a really brief conversation, Yoli and Mal. They're in a relationship, and Mal was like, "Yeah, seeing you with Xander kind of triggers that for me." I can't remember the exact words. So was that a factor in Mal's hesitation to be with Yoli? That because Mal seemed to indicate that Yoli previously was normally with white women, and for Mal, she suspects that Yoli doesn't ultimately want to be with. There's a possibility that Yoli has experienced many times, or Mal has experienced many times, where she has been rejected in various contexts, whether it's at the job or in life and in romantic relationships, because of her being black. Also, maybe even explicitly rejected. Maybe even someone cheated on her with a white woman or something, And now, on one level, you're like, well, what are you going to do? But we all understand the context of racism, and it plays out in romantic relationships and preference. We see it. We have the data, because when you sign up on these dating sites, there are boxes that you can check of just like, okay, I want to be with this sort of, I want someone that is of this age. I want someone that wants kids, or I want someone that is successful I want someone that lives within 25 miles of where I live. And another box is, what race do you want to be with? Some people will just leave it blank and say, whatever, I'm open to anything. But a lot of people will indicate very clear preferences. And, there's a distribution curve, but a lot of times black women are not preferred, even by other black men, because of the associations that our society, particularly our white racist society of the United States, has around various, there's a similar conundrum with Asian men, that they will talk about how for Asian women and for non-Asian people, they will want to be with anyone other than Asian men, because Asian men don't, on average, people will not want to be with Asian men because Asian men aren't associated with the ideal qualities of a man, masculine, this kind of thing, and maybe even assumptions about anatomy, that sort of thing. And there are similar assumptions and stereotypes about black women that they're not feminine enough, right? They are masculine, they're aggressive and hostile, this sort of thing. And where Asian women are associated with femininity, and thus a lot of men in heterosexual relationships want to be with them, whereas black men are associated with a lot of ideal masculine traits, and thus they are sought after more than black women. You know what I'm saying? It was well understood. I'm sure y'all know this. Oh, I know why. Because it seemed as though that was part of the conversation with Yoli. And does that mean that Mal either erroneously assumes that Yoli doesn't want to be with Mal, and that's why Mal was resistant to committing, because Mal's like, well, but I'm not white, so you don't want to be with me, obviously. I'm basing all this on extremely limited information. I could be completely off base, but that was what Mal did say, is that she worries that she's not different from Yoli's past partners and thus can't trust that Yoli truly wants to be with Mal. That's what she said. I don't know what the factors are there. So anyway, we haven't really gotten to know Mal that well, and there doesn't seem to be any indication of a possible underfunctioning aspect to her personality. But you never know. There's a lot of domains that one can underfunction. You can underfunction with finances. You can underfunction with socializing. You can underfunction with just being depressed or anxious. Sometimes codependent people will match up well with a depressed person who periodically has varying levels of depression, and the codependent person will feel needed and loved because the depressed person needs them. And now I want to be clear that there's nothing wrong with overfunctioning for someone. There's just something pathological when the overfunctioner doesn't get their needs met and the underfunctioner is forced to some extent to remain underfunctioning, is denied aspects to learn from their own mistakes. That's one of the classic perpetuators of the overfunctioning, underfunctioning, is that if this person is always picking up the pieces and helping them, and a lot of times this person is asking for it explicitly, please help me, please, I don't know what I'm doing, then this person never learns from their mistakes and is never given an opportunity to become independent themselves, such that they can take care of themselves and then love this person and take care of them sometimes, some mutuality, right? This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We often talk about a work-life balance, right? But how often do we talk about a balance between time for others and time for ourselves? It's so easy to get caught up in thinking about what everyone else wants from us and never taking the time for ourselves. And of course, therapy can help you with that balance. I mean, just going to therapy is taking time for yourself, right? I've had many clients who will do this. They will come into my office, sit down on my couch, and let out a big sigh of relief because I think for the first time in a week, they're actually taking time to think about what they need. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's worth giving a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and suited to your schedule. And also, you can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. So, find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
So although I'm grateful for everyone's time and every single date, I feel that the person that was most outstanding to me was Ozzy. I choose Ozzy.
Okay, so we have Mildred and Aussie. So far, everyone who has chosen someone has also been chosen reciprocally, which makes me imagine that at least some, if not all, had prior conversations about so I'm going to choose you, you're going to choose me. Or it's just coincidental. Because I worry, as I've been watching, I'm worried, is someone going to choose someone and then someone's going to be like, I actually don't choose you, I choose this other person. That'd be really... Ugh.
I will absolutely choose Tiff.
Okay, so we have Tiff and Sam who have chosen each other. We haven't heard much from Sam in terms of the edit, and Ozzy for that matter either, so we don't really know. We've seen more from Tiff, but so I don't know what to say. I'm guessing we'll gather more data as the show progresses.
I kept on finding it more and more clear of what I want and who I want. And it's my ex.
Okay, so I don't know what Tiff is saying right here. Are they saying, I want off the show, I want to be with my ex? Hey, ex, would you want to be with? Ex meaning their person, right? And for Tiff, it's Mildred. Mildred is with Ozzy, right? Or is Tiff saying that, look, yeah, I'll give Sam a shot, but, ultimately I'm more realizing I want to be with my original partner, Mildred. Even though originally I was getting the ultimatum and I was saying, hey, I don't know. Now maybe I have some clarity around that. So maybe they'll clarify what they are saying here.
I'm trying to be open. Really. I'm trying.
But I'm so in love with Mildred. I'm so in love with her.
Yeah, it makes sense. And this lends itself to credibility of the couples that come on the show, because there was questions about it last season that some of the couples weren't really invested in each other. And that's why they were on the show to begin with, right? Or they were, fairly manufactured, at least from one direction. Absolutely. Tiff is really struggling here. Tiff's saying, yeah, I'm in it, but this is hard. I love my partner. Of course they do. Presumably they all are deeply in love with each other, right? So it makes sense. All right, well, that is it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.